David Baye here from MuscularDevelopment.com. I am in Pittsburgh at the 2014 Masters National Championships, hanging out here with men's physique competitor Jaime Fowler. Jaime, got some pictures of you leading up to the show. Your conditioning looks absolutely incredible. Want to start off with that. Now, your story's a little bit unique.
Sure, yeah. I actually contracted polio when I was 2 years old. The polio, I got polio through the actual vaccination.
Oh, so you went in for the vac and got.
Yep.
What are the odds of something like that happening?
From what the doctors are saying, I think it was like 1 in 2.4 million chances of the odds of it reacting. I went to a health department when I was 2 years old to get my vaccination so I could start kindergarten. And the actual shot, the polio vaccination that I took, actually reacted against me, and instead of help building my immune system, it actually basically gave me polio. Shortly after that, I came down with a high fever, and I was paralyzed from the neck down for 2 weeks. Obviously, when the fever broke, it basically damaged my complete right side. My top left quad never developed, so I only have a left calf. You know, to go from completely paralyzed to come back with some paralysis, I mean that's fine. A lot of things, you know, one big thing that a lot of people don't know about me is I'm 37 years old, and up until I was 13 years old, I lived my life out of a wheelchair. So I was admitted in a Shriners Hospital when I was 13 years old. I actually stayed there for 2 years and through reconstructive surgery and rehab, and I was able to actually walk out of the hospital with with an actual walker. I was able to go from the walker to the cup crutches, and then technically now I'm kind of supposed to be walking with a cane, but hey, we just make it work.
So from the time you were essentially 2 years old to a teenager, you were in a wheelchair then.
Yes. I'm from a small town, and the town that I'm from, there were no such thing as wheelchair sports or anything like that. So it's kind of like I'm waiting till my later in life to live out my dream. Of course, growing up, man, I wanted to play football and baseball and wrestling, this and that. Obviously, because of my condition, I couldn't. And then when I was introduced to men's physique, it opened up a whole new world. And so even though I'm 37, man, I'm living a dream. I'm living a dream.
No, I don't want to, revert back to kind of what we were talking about before, but I keep thinking, like, man, when you went into that Shriners Hospital and you said you came out 2 years later, what was that like after being in a wheelchair for years? And I'm sure it was some pretty intensive therapy. Sure. What was that feeling like when you got to walk out of that hospital and walk out with a walker when you came in, having been in a wheelchair for the past 11 years?
It'll give you a whole new perspective on life. Just life in general. Everybody, we take things for granted every day, and don't realize how much the little things mean. Just being able to get up and walk to the next room. So to actually live it in reverse and have it taken away but then given to you versus had it and taken away, man, it's a whole new meaning on life, and I believe that it's put the drive in me to work even harder. Sometimes I'll work extra hard just because I'm always afraid I may lose it at any time.
Now, as far as getting involved in competitions, that's kind of one thing. You get out of the hospital at 15 years old. Obviously you've built the physique over a long period of time. That's not something that you get overnight. Right. What got you into weight training? Because like I said, you're in a wheelchair for 11 years. You go through some therapy. You come out at 15. How long after that did you get into weight training, and how did you get into it?
The actual weight training actually came about, going through physical therapy. It was always told to me that, I need to take advantage of this opportunity, and therefore I'm going to have to work extra hard. I need a stronger core to be able to support my bottom half, just because I am so weak with the tissue and the lack of muscle that I do have. So the actual working out and training and working on the core and all that good stuff and building the physique, it actually started 13, 14, 15 years old when I was out of the hospital. It wasn't until about 4 years ago that I was introduced into the competitive scene. Okay. And since then, man, it's just, I love it.
How did you get into competing?
It actually got thrown on me on a last-minute deal. One of my best friends and coach and trainer, Gabe Miles, he and I trained together. We actually live kind of close to each other, so he and I started training together. And he, he has always competed. I mean, they've competed for years, and so they've been on that competitive side. I originally had no intentions to do a competition, none whatsoever, and we've been training for about a year, a little over a year and a half, and just on a Tuesday night in the gym, we got done training, and everyone's standing there, just cooling off and taking a shake, and he's like, hey, take your shirt off. So I take my shirt off, and he runs me through a few, mandatory poses, and he's like, hey, by the way, this is what I want you to eat the rest of the week. He said, you're getting tan Friday night and you're competing Saturday night.
So he throws it at you like on a Tuesday. You're going to get on stage on Saturday. Sure. Not a lot of time.
And he actually, my very first competition ever was a South Carolina State Bodybuilding Championship. So it was our South Carolina, it was our state show, one of the biggest shows in our state, period.
Jump on in. 5 days prep, plenty of time, right?
5 days prep. Look, here's what we're going to do, and at first, man, I mean, I done it as a goal. Let's accomplish this, But the minute I broke that curtain and heard the crowd and the adrenaline started flowing, and man, it's been a fire that's been lit 4 years ago, and I want to keep it burning every day.
All right, man. Well, you're definitely on a big stage here. Is this going to be your first national level competition?
This is my very first national level competition. Like I said, we've been competing in regionals now for about 4 years. We have consecutively, finished in the top 5 and had 2 first place finishes within that 4-year period of time. So this is my very first national show ever.
You said before, there's also your local news channel did a story on you, a little bit more in depth, probably than what we have here. Can you tell everybody at musculardevelopment.com? It's just on YouTube. If they wanted to see that video on YouTube, what would we be looking for?
Sure. If you go to YouTube, if you'll look up polio/bodybuilder, it should be the very first video that pops up. And it is a 5-minute documentary, just my life in a nutshell. It was a local television crew that done it in our state. It was actually a 30-minute documentary. She had to cut it down to 5. But if you guys are interested and just want to hear my story in a nutshell, take 5 minutes, go to YouTube and look up polio/bodybuilder, and that's my story.
Know that, one of the things in this sport is that we're always looking for inspiration. We're always looking for motivation. And there's all these videos on YouTube of, these compilations of bodybuilders with certain type of music. So when we're feeling whatever, we can watch those, get a little bit pumped up for the gym, whether it be Phil Heath or Kai Green or whatever motivates people. I feel like people in this industry are always looking for something to motivate you. And I gotta say, from a personal note, to sit here and listen to your story of being in a wheelchair for 11 years and getting up and walking out of that. I mean, that sounds like stuff out of like a movie or a song, getting up and, I'm going to walk out of that place on my own 2 feet. And then here you are walking up without, even though you're supposed to have it, walking up without one. Like I said, just on a personal note, your story is extremely inspiring. And I think it speaks a lot for your character and your drive and heart and everything like that, to see how far you've come. And I'm trying to I would just like
to say thank you to Muscular Development for the opportunity, just come to you guys and speak and have the opportunity to tell my story, as well as, man, I read everything everybody follows. I'm a fan just like everybody else. So, I mean, I find it an honor just standing here talking to you, So, I mean, it's a big deal to me, and I would just like to tell Muscular Development thank you for everything you guys do for the sport.
Oh, you're very welcome. And to the guys watching, like I said, you guys know I'm a pretty laid-back guy and don't get too sappy here on the forums or anything. But if you guys are watching, and if you have a friend or a relative or somebody that that that's battling some issues or something like that, they're having problems motivating themselves or just feeling down about where they're at, share this video with them, man. I mean, because like I said, hearing a story about somebody who was in a wheelchair for 11 years and walked out on their own 2 feet, and here we are how many years later at a national competition about to get on stage with some of the best competitors in the country. That's motivation for anybody. I don't care whether you're a bodybuilder or a runner or whatever. That's good stuff. So again, for musculardevelopment.com, from the 2014 NPC Masters National Championships, I am here with Jaime Fowler. It has been an absolute honor, and thank you very much, and best of luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.